Well, I mean, like you, Lou, we were disappointed in the pace that, the lack of getting information that we thought was important for us to do our work, to do our oversight work and do our investigations. I mean, remember, it took Rick Grinnell to release the transcripts of Clapper and Brennan and Yates and these individuals where we learned that there was never a proper predicate for launching the Trump-Russia investigation. So we've obviously been disappointed in the pace at which we've got information. But you know what? Frankly, I guess we could do worse than Christopher Wray. I don't know that Christopher Wray is spying on anybody like the Comey FBI did. I don't know that they took a dossier, took it to a secret court to spy on the Trump campaign, and then ultimately spied on 4 other American citizens without any proper predicate. So we'll just have to wait and see. What I really hope is that they start to demonstrate some of the actions that will put real substance to this call for unity that we heard from the President Biden yesterday.
What do you think the odds of that happening are?
Well, I hope he said some good things in his inaugural speech, but I tell you, Lou, it's tough to unify when you're trying to impeach a president who's already left. It's tough to unify when the cancel culture is telling half the population you're not allowed to speak. It's tough to unify when there's a double standard. I mean, one set of rules for President Trump and his family, and one set of rules for Joe Biden and his family. I mean, come on, we know about that story that no one covered in the press last fall. So let's, if Joe Biden would say to the cancel culture, stop it. Let's have a real debate in this country like we're supposed to under our First Amendment, under our Constitution. That would go a long way, but I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, actually, you've seen the inverse. You've seen the cancel culture actually rising in strength and voice. Yep. You have seen this president accept and obviously implicitly approve of the persecution of the president who is now that preceded him. This is ignorance. This is absurdity. And for the right and for the Republican Party to now behave like rhinos and say, we're just waiting for the lilies and the tulips to spring up from this awfully smelly ground called the swamp in Washington, I think is crazy.
No, it's an obsession with the left and with the Democrats, Lou. Remember, they tried to remove President Trump from office before he got there. Now they're trying to remove him after he's left. I mean, it's unbelievable. And what he endured while he was here, and yet, in spite of all that, was able to get done all the things he said he was going to do for the American people. I mean, did more of what he said he would do than any president in our lifetimes. So, in spite of this relentless attack, and yet they started in July of 16, they continue now in January after he's left. It makes no sense other than they've been obsessed with it. And as you said, this marks now the 6th year that they've been going after President Trump and his family. And it's wrong, and 75 million people know it's wrong. So if they really want to bring this country together, they should stop this impeachment, stop the trial that's supposed to take place in the Senate, stop it, and let's work on actually allowing debate to happen and doing the things that make our country this special place.
Well, it certainly was a special place. It's getting special now for a lot of the wrong reasons. What is your reaction to the Chamber of Commerce? I'd just like to share a headline. One of the big benefactors of the Republican Party, corporate America, putting tens of millions of dollars in the coffers of the Republican Party and their campaigns. But here is the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. U.S. Chamber CEO encouraged by Biden's plans for immigration reforms. The changes proposed in President Biden's legislative plan would help many businesses meet their critical workforce needs. I have never seen a headline even remotely approaching that with any enthusiasm about the interest and the support for the American working man and their families. I also saw Kevin McCarthy reverse himself because he was threatened by the donor class, by the Chamber of Commerce, the Business Roundtable, the National Association of Manufacturers, and the usual suspects. Defined the identity of the Republican Party for the last 20 years, certainly. Yeah. And he was sweating bullets as he stood there saying he believed in, with all his might, that President Trump provoked a mob when he knew there was no evidence of such, and that it was a damn lie. Yeah.
I mean, look, this is why so many people so appreciate President Trump, because he fought for middle class and working class people. He fought for people like my dad, who was a former union, worked at General Motors, has retired. People regular American families. And that's why 75 million people appreciate President Trump. And that's why his numbers amongst Republicans have not dropped one bit. So that's what we need to recognize. And think about this, Lou. We got now a wall around the Capitol to protect the politicians, but the wall on the southern border that's supposed to protect the people we represent, that's not going to continue. That shows the difference. Let's remember the middle class, working class, the American people who make this country a special place. That's what President Trump did, and that's why so many people so appreciate what he did.
And you and I among. I just remember a time, Congressman, in this country we didn't talk about class. We didn't talk about working class. We didn't talk about anything but the middle class, perhaps. But the fact of the matter is, working men and women and their families right now have no representation. This president has made it clear who has his priority, his attention, his interest. President Trump, as you say, stood up for the working man and the family, and working men and women and their families. And it's saying to me that the Republican Party right now doesn't understand the threat he poses, because I think those 74 million Americans, if they continue being insulted by both the leadership of both political parties, they're going to say, "The hell with you," and the Patriot Party will be born, and it will be born with extraordinary strength. And you get the last word.
Well, I hope we stay together as a Republican Party with President Trump as the leader of that party. I think that's what's best for the country. You're exactly right. 75 million people don't like the fact that they're impeaching the president after he's left, and they don't like the fact that they're being canceled by the left and not allowed to voice their opinion, make their case, and exercise their free speech rights.